the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very longstanding policy of the United States.
Unfortunately for AOC LGBT, AOC, it's easy as LGB, it's simple as TQI, AOC, LGB, I made an oopsie! Unfortunately for Ocasio, you're unable to phone a friend when you're faced with very basic questions on foreign policy. Now, of course, with AOC, I'm surprised she didn't ask to buy a vowel. Ocasio, would you commit to boots on the ground in Taiwan? Can I buy a vowel? The past week has been brutal for the self-proclaimed girl wonder. Last weekend, for reasons unknown, Ocasio was chosen to represent America at some political summit over in Germany, where she proceeded to share the incompetence that made her famous here in America with the rest of the world. It was incredibly humiliating, and in most cases, with situations like this, the best thing to do is own it. I know it's tough. I know, especially for deacons at Woke United Methodist, humble pie doesn't taste nearly as good as the shit sandwich. But oftentimes, the easiest way to de-escalate public humiliation, the easiest way to soothe the bruised caboose, is to own your mistake. But as expected, Ocasio is doing the exact opposite. Instead of owning her mistake, instead of just owning her incompetence, she is blaming everyone else for the flaming ass fire that her toxic mouth fart started. When you're young, it's common, even normal, for kids to have big dreams. Most of these dreams are unattainable for the average kid, but that doesn't stop adults from enabling them or encouraging them. You can be anything you want to be. Which fine, that's fine. You don't want to crush the dreams of a child, no matter how impossible it might seem. Hell, I am living proof that dreams that seem like they're unattainable, those dreams can come true. Most young boys, they dream of being professional athletes. The other day, I was over at my parents' having dinner. My nephews and brother-in-law were over there. I asked my oldest nephew what he wanted to be when he grows up. I'm gonna be an NBA player. With young girls, their dreams are a bit different. Their dreams tend to be more personal than professional. When they're 5 or 6 years old, they're playing house. They dream of their wedding. They dream of their father walking them down the aisle. Or if they're being raised in a more modern home, they dream of them walking they down the aisle. Young girls often dream of becoming mothers. But for a young woman named Ocasio, she had dreams of graduating from dork to Captain Doofus. She had dreams of fighting the patriarchy. She had utopian dreams of making money while not having to work. But those dreams were minor compared to her real dream. As a child of the 90s growing up in the Bronx, a young Ocasio dreamed of accomplishing multiple firsts. And as you guys know, deacons at Woke United Methodist, they love a first. Ocasio dreamed of becoming the first Hispanic president, combined with being the first female president. If I achieve the impossible by accomplishing multiple firsts, they will put my face on Mount Everest. I think you mean Mount Rushmore. Yeah, one of those oceans. It's good to have dreams, especially for children, but there is a huge difference between dreams in reality. Unfortunately for Ocasio, at 36 years old, she is coming to the harsh realization that her girlhood dreams have absolutely no basis in reality. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. So going into the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Sinusol. Winter is here. Spring right around the corner. If you're anything like me, this is the time of year when your allergies are the most active. Normally, I would take daily medications like Claritin to help with my allergies, but this year, I have been using Sinusol Breathe Easy nasal spray. Sinusol Breathe Easy is a low-cost nasal spray that provides relief from chronic issues and symptoms caused by allergies and infections. Now, you're probably wondering, how is this any better than what I buy at CVS or Walgreens? Most of the nasal sprays on the market, they include steroids, which you don't need. Sinusol Breathe Easy is steroid-free and medication-free. They use a holistic approach, which includes a unique combination of plant-based ingredients and essential oils. If you struggle with congestion, postnasal drip, coughing, sneezing, or if you're like me, and you're constantly dealing with sinus headaches, Sinusol Breathe Easy is the nasal spray that you need. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL25, BTL25. Receive 25% off your first purchase with Sinusol. In the last week, Ocasio has been given plenty of opportunity to own her embarrassment. If I make a mistake here on the channel, and believe me, when I do, I am notified instantly. I remember last summer, I made an entire video based on the WNBA schedule of nationally televised games. Somehow, I had miscounted the number of nationally televised games that Caitlin Clark or maybe Angel Reese were being featured in. Either way, within minutes of the video being uploaded, my inbox was full of corrections. I could have ignored it. I could have blamed someone else. But instead of wasting my time formulating a lie, I just told you the truth. I messed up. Oftentimes, it is the easiest, hardest thing to do. When you make a mistake, or when you don't know something, your pride has a tendency of making that mistake worse. The best way to de-escalate the situation, especially with your critics, is to just admit you messed up. People can relate to mistakes because we all make them. But with Ocasio, instead of owning up to her mistake, she decided to blame you and Orange Man Bad. Watch for yourself.
You think that I don't understand foreign policy because out of hours of discourse about international affairs, I pause to think about one of the most sensitive geopolitical issues that currently exist on Earth. I'm afraid the issue is not my understanding, but rather the problem is perhaps you've gotten adjusted to a president that never thinks before he speaks.
What was that noise? Did you hear that? I don't know if Ocasio is sick, or maybe she's been crying all week from global embarrassment. Could be either one, maybe a combination of both. I'm kind of leaning towards Ocasio being under the weather, mainly because of that background noise. She either has a strong case of the devastating doodle, or maybe she borrowed Whoopi Goldberg's boodle flute to relieve the toxic gas pain, or maybe her battery-powered cucumber was letting her know that the battery was low. According to Ocasio, I didn't make a mistake, peasant. I was simply thinking real hard. I know you're used to a president who speaks before he thinks, but I, as an intellectual, always think about the environment before I release toxic gas. If you're a defender of AOC or a lonely man who believes he's got a chance of marrying her, maybe this excuse works for you. Maybe this is an acceptable explanation, but let me ask you something. How do you explain this?
Look at what happened in Venezuela, for example. It is not a remark on who Maduro was as a leader. He canceled elections. He was an anti-democratic leader. That doesn't mean that we can kidnap a head of state and engage in acts of war just because the nation is below the equator.
What is her explanation for not knowing where the equator is? Did New York City not provide adequate maps at PS 420 in the Bronx? I'd hate to go on a road trip with Ocasio. She would be telling me to drive south to get to the North Pole. Look, AOC is a brilliant content creator. When it comes to mesmerizing lonely men on social media, when it comes to creating heavily scripted 60 to 90 second clips where Ocasio sounds like a Greek philosopher, AOC is arguably the best politician in the business at doing that. And when you're a doofus representative in the House, you can get away with it. People in Tennessee, they don't care if Ocasio knows nothing about foreign policy. People escaping from the People's Republic of California, they don't care if AOC claims that Taco Bell is Mexican cuisine. As one of 435 reps in the House, AOC can get away with being incompetent. The expectations are significantly lower. But when you're running for president, you are running to be one of one, and the expectations are unlimited. We have a real leadership problem right now in this country. And I'm not talking about Donald Trump. Whether you love him or hate him, whether you agree or disagree with him, there is no denying the fact. Donald Trump is a leader. He's not afraid to make tough decisions. He's damn sure not afraid to make unpopular decisions. Earlier this week, Adam Silver leaked the NBA's proposal to solve their tanking problem. Alice put together a doofus committee and they came up with so-called solutions to tanking. Then they leaked the solutions to the media to see how people reacted. It was a prime example of poor, weak leadership. For starters, you don't base decisions on social media reactions. ESPN's been doing that for years, and the network has been circling the pooper. And real leaders, they don't form committees to address problems. This country has been built on the leadership of strong men. 20 years ago, when the NBA had a serious image problem, when NBA players were getting in fistfights with paying customers, David Stern didn't form a committee. He didn't ask Bob Costas how to solve the problem. David Stern implemented a strict dress code, and then he dealt with all the backlash. That is what leaders do. Do you think AOC is really capable of doing that? You think AOC is capable of sitting in a room with Vlad Putin and negotiating from a place of strength? You think global leaders are going to respect a president who doesn't know the difference between Ecuador and the equator? I think leaders in the party of the donkey know they have got an AOC problem. It's going to be interesting to see if AOC will soon be joining Jazz Crockett by being kicked off the donkey. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.